Hi, welcome to Reel Film Snobs. I'm Angela Yeager. I'm pleased to have with me back on the show, Bryan Michael. Welcome to the show, Bryan.
And I'm Bryan Michael.
Yes, and Bryan is
I was waiting
back
for.
to talk about the Mission Impossible series. We're going to do all eight of the movie, kind of, sort of. The series sort of wrapped up recently this summer 2025. So we thought it'd be a good time to do an overview because we're crazy. We watched all of the movies over again. And so we're going to go through the whole series and give you our thoughts on them in rapid fire pace. So I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to kick it off with Mission Impossible, the first one from 1996 by Brian De Palma. In this film, Ethan Hunt finds himself framed for the murders of the majority of his team and has to go on the hunt to find out who and why he's being framed. So this sets up the series, the kind of overall arching aspects of the whole series, and that Ethan becomes an outsider within his own organization, which is a reoccurring theme. I know that the original people involved with the TV series didn't like that they made Jim Phelps a bad guy and all of that, but I think what this does brilliantly in the first one is set this up where Ethan is loyal to the people, his friends and family, but not to the government or the agency that employs him. And I actually rewatching this for the first time since the 90s when it came out, I actually appreciated this one a lot more. I appreciated Brian De Palma's beautiful camera work, particularly in that just wonderful Langley heist scene, which I think remains in this series one of the best sequences, and as well as the writing by Steve Zalian. You know, you forget that there was an Oscar-winning writer involved with Mission Impossible. The guy who wrote Schindler's List and Moneyball and all these great films wrote this screenplay, and it's a nice, tight screenplay with a lot of good action. It doesn't get as bloated as the movies became later. Your thoughts, Bryan?
Well, this was back in the 90s when they were remaking television shows into movies. Remember the Little Rascals and all of those? And this was the one actually survived and became a huge franchise. In fact, this is probably a stronger franchise than the recent Bond movies. Probably John Wick, but John Wick is kind of a one note, and nothing against that, just a lot of flat out action. These ones tend to have a team involvement. There's some love interest. There's a lot of gallivanting across the countries, around the world, I should say. The split screen and close-ups with De Palma here, being one of the first, the many directors that get to go in there and kind of put their stamp on the film. This is one of the first international casts. There was a big, huge worldwide hit that became now a trend now that we've done the last 10 some odd years here. And a lot of people made fun of the plot, whichever, but it was the first movie. It was like, go Tom, go. I mean, as long as Tom Cruise is running, we're really happy. He doesn't ride a motorcycle in this one yet, but we get that in the next one. A lot of running, and this is where you fully start to believe that it doesn't matter what it is. If it's a pen that has to save the world and Tom Cruise is going to run, he's going to be the world's champion and he's going to save the day. So this one's a lot of fun. It kind of sets the template of what's going to be coming up next in the series, and lots of masks and the reveals, which are a lot of fun.
A lot of masks in this one. I missed that.
Yeah, this one, he has the short haircut in this one, and he's very young looking, even though it's been a while.
Well, he was young because 1996 was like 30 years ago. So it's a good fun one, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I remember when I first saw it. I think all of the things you just mentioned are one of the reasons this series has continued. And I miss, in the recent movies they've gotten very serious, and I miss how fun these movies were when they first started with the mask gripping and all the hijinks. So we'll move on to the next one, which is Mission Impossible 2. Directed by John Woo from 2000. This one is often considered one of the worst of the series. I think it's kind of more in the middle than the absolute worst, but it's not great. There's a couple of reasons why. Thandie Newton, who is a great actress and absolutely gorgeous, is completely wasted in a kind of weirdly, it's probably the most, in a way, it's the most sexualized Mission Impossible movie of the whole series, but it's also the most sexist. She's kind of just
Yep.
used as eye candy in the movie, which is not what happens later with the female characters, where they're more involved in the action. They're also spies or they're badasses. She's just kind of there too. And then there's also probably one of the worst villains in this one. The villain is just kind
Forgettable.
of this vanilla guy. What was that?
Forgettable.
Forgettable, yeah. I forgot who the villain was. I did remember Thandie Newton was in this, but I did not remember the villain. So that said, I actually think some of the action sequences in this are really well choreographed. And you do see Ethan Hunt on the motorcycle for the first time. There's some good hand-to-hand combat and a little bit of martial arts mixed in there that I thought was a lot of fun.
Oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. This is post Matrix. So again, going with the trends of the time, there's a lot of slow motion, and Tom Cruise has this horrible long hair, and it flips through the air as they're doing all of this kind of they're jousting with the motorcycles. That's completely stupid. There's lots of doves. There's lots of slow motion because it's John Woo. There's a really nice the stabbing with the knife that comes within a inch of his eye, which they of course talked about that. The previous one had the helicopter chase in the large aquarium. This one had motorcycles and a couple chases, nothing memorable for me. I was looking through it. It was like, yeah, there's mountain climbing at the beginning, which is that becomes another trope in the series. You have Anthony Hopkins, totally forgettable in this movie. The movie's dark looking. I didn't like the look of it. It was very much for its time. And we'll talk about the next one's look. Thandie Newton, yeah, sadly, this is the most new metal of all of them. It's like, ooh, wow, in the early aughts, boy, things really sucked. Even though Metallica does the main theme, this is just such a bro heavy movie. It's sexist. I can't believe you're defending a sexist movie and we're entertained by it. There's no chemistry between him and her at all. Tom Cruise does not work as flirty. Tom Cruise works more as here my actions are going to express my love, not to sit here and it does not work. Oof, boy, this movie just is a swing and a miss in the series. It was the most successful one for the longest time.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the third one.
Okay. Oh, I'm introducing this one. Excuse me. Yeah. So then, Mission Impossible 3 comes across. This one's directed by J.J. Abrams, who was very famous at the time for Alias. That's why he got the job here. And a sadistic arms dealer, played by a fantastic Philip Seymour Hoffman, threatens Ethan's life and his wife unless he recovers the rabbit foot. Don't discuss what the rabbit foot is. It's just the MacGuffin, people. It's the reason why we have the movie. And it starts off with a bang of a cliffhanger, which, again, Alias, the television show, always did. So does have a grainy look, and Angela's going to complain about that, but it's a little dated for that. That's fine. But it opens with that amazing opening there. Michelle Monaghan is fantastic because now we bring in a love interest. This is the movie where we actually get to know about Ethan, like Ethan, and now this is why we really root for Ethan, because we like this guy. He's trying to be a family man. He's trying to find love, and I enjoyed that. Simon Pegg is introduced into this one, so now we have comedy. The first two were very serious. This one has some comedy, and then we'll have more aspects of that in the future, which is really fun. The big scenes of the opening with Kerry Russell, who's fantastic and should have gotten her own action series there. And then there's where he's jumping from one building to the other. But the flaw with this one would just be that the team aspect, they just kind of watch him. They don't necessarily are interacting with it. We'll get more of that in there. But this was my favorite one. The lip reading, all of it comes together, and this is really where it starts to mesh. And now we're like, oh, we really have something here. This was the least successful box office wise, which is a total crime, but I absolutely love this movie, and Michelle Monaghan has such great chemistry with him, and really pulls it all together for me for the Ethan character.
Yeah, you like this one a lot more than me. I think it's one of the worst of the series. I had forgotten how horrible it looked till we rewatched it, and I actually asked you. I was like, "Do you have motion smoothing on your TV?" Because it looked so bad that I thought.
Like I
And of
would.
course, I know. And Brian got very offended. Like, who do you think I am? I do not have motion smoothing on my
Yeah.
TV, but it looks like garbage. And I know it's that digital early 2000s, and I should be more forgiving, but I'm not. It looks like garbage. It just does. It's over. The color is really weirdly oversaturated, and I also missed the team element a lot, which is kind of what's happened in the movies in the end, which we'll get to later. But like, it's mostly about Michelle Monaghan and Tom Cruise, and I like her a lot, but it's just like, okay, I didn't come to watch a Mission Impossible movie to see him mooning over some woman. So I want some Mission Impossible. I want some team. I want the team doing things together. And she's fine, but she's also not also given a whole lot to do. That said, what saves this movie and really kept it, I think, for a long time in that middle period, kind of in the middle, is Philip Seymour Hoffman, who is by far, and I don't think anyone would dispute this, the best villain in the entire series. I don't know why they never were able to capture again, find a villain, cast an actor who's as good. I mean, obviously you can't cast an actor who's as good as Philip Seymour Hoffman because that's almost impossible. He's one of the greatest actors, but he's so good because he's just someone that you just feel the real danger from him, the way he portrays his character. He's just really fantastic. So that is really the best part about this movie.
So we're going to recap by saying if it looks bad and has a love interest with a good actress and good chemistry and some team, you won't like that one, but you'll like the sexist one that has a bad look and no team. Okay.
I didn't think Mission Impossible 2. I don't think Mission Impossible 2 looks that bad. I don't think it looks bad like you do. So that's my opinion. And also, he has long hair in the last one too. So he's had that hair before.
He did. The long hair does come back, but it's not the slow motion with the big feathering around and. Oh, God,
yeah. Anyway. Okay. Enough on the hair. Enough on the hair. Let's move on.
So the next one is Ghost Protocol, and this was directed by Brad Bird, who really should have come back a few more times in this series. I really missed it. This is where the IMF is shut down when they're implicated in bombing the Kremlin, which is a fantastic scene. Now we're getting into some action sequences to these next four that are just absolutely stellar. And the Kremlin action scene is fantastic. So they have to go rogue, obviously. There's the Kremlin building. There's a car vending machine, which is probably one of the coolest things I've seen in a movie in a really long time. And that action sequence is fantastic. And then there's a jailbreak in the beginning that is absolutely funny. Here, we really get an injection of humor with Simon Pegg's character, and of course, Brad Bird having a wonderful magic touch. We get a lot of great fun new gadgets that are involved. This is one of my favorite cast. They all have something to do. They don't just sit here and watch him. Jeremy Renner comes in for the first time. This one just bangs all the way through it. And what I really enjoy about this one is we'll figure it out. Here's the plan, intricate, and then something happens where like the masks doesn't work or it's the wrong person. And you're like, okay, and they just flip on a switch.
They have to pivot, improvise, Yeah,
that's what I love. Yeah, there's more pivots in these movies than a basketball game. They are so much fun, and this one really brings the fun.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think this could be my favorite of the whole series. It's sort of a tie between this one and the next one, Rogue Nation. I am a big Brad Bird fan, of course, of his animated work, and this was his first live action film. And talk about crazy, like go from doing animated movies, for Pixar and such, and then your first movie, I'll just do a Mission Impossible movie, that's okay. Your first live action movie. And it makes you wonder why he hasn't had more opportunities to do other live action movies, because this one is so good, and I think it did really well. I know it got good reviews for the whole series. Yeah, what makes this one work is Brad Bird goes back to, number one, it looks good. It goes back to looking good again, so we kind of got over that crappy digital look, and now we're back to something looking at. But as you said, the team, you have Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg, Paula Patton, and then a decent villain. He's not as good as Philip Seymour Hoffman, but Michael Nyqvist, who is in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movies, he's a good villain. And again, because now they're shut down and they have to they're operating behind the scenes on the fly. I really like that aspect. And I believe, is this the first one where Angela Bassett is introduced? You would know better than me because you know the series better. But I thought this.
So they kind of put, no, not yet. Not yet. Oh, sorry.
She's not in this one. Is that in the next one in Rogue Nation? Yeah, okay. I got it mixed up, but I really liked just the chemistry of the group in this one. Like you said, everyone's given something to do. It focuses more on the team. It has a lot of humor too. It's one of the funniest. There's just a lot of great humor in this one, and it's just really well staged. So it doesn't waste your time. Feels like it's getting in and accomplishing what it wants to do, and it's not taking itself too seriously. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention this. Did I say that this one? Oh no, wait a minute. I do get them a little turned around a little bit here. Yeah, this is the one where he climbs the side of the building, and that is absolutely fantastic. And then it's followed by the sandstorm chase, which is, this movie just doesn't stop. It just keeps going, and lots of running. And I think he rides a motorcycle on that one.
Yeah, but he climbs the skyscraper, and that's also funny though, because he has the technology. Simon Pegg's the techie guy, and he has him, with the things that stick, the gloves that stick to the glass, and one of them fails. So Tom Cruise is essentially climbing like one of the world's tallest buildings in Dubai with one arm. So if you can imagine that, it's got a great sequence. So, but then they make fun of him because he comes back and they're like, "What took you so long?" You know, so it's like, so the humor is
Yeah.
really good. It's like the action mixed with the humor in this one really makes it, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, this one really adds a lot more to the series, and they'll kind of this now we've got the template really set for here, and that's what I really enjoy about the this one and the previous two, and this one and the next one as well.
So this, we'll move on to the next one, which is Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. This is the first one that was directed by and written by Christopher McQuarrie, who went on to become in a bromance with Tom Cruise and make all the rest of the movies. And it brings back Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg, and Ving Rhames. The women, no, it seems like they're always, but this one is really great. And this brings in Rebecca Ferguson, who is one of
Yes.
our personal favorites, and Alec Baldwin, who is absolutely great in this film as their boss. And he's actually, I think, probably one of the best in the series at being the kind of the boss character. You know, they had different people playing, like you mentioned, Anthony Hopkins was really forgettable in his role in that same character. So I really liked that. And then Sean Harris is the bad guy in this one. And, you know, he's okay, but he's a weird looking guy. And I think they play off of the fact he's weird looking to make him the villain, but I'm not sure how scary he actually seems. But anyway, I'm trying to remember the plot of this one. Okay, let's see. This one is one it's like almost hard. Maybe you can describe the plot better than me, but I think they are trying to. It's almost a continuation of some of the things in the last movie. He's getting tortured, and they have to go on, and there's a lot of globetrotting in this one, of course, as usual. I mean, they're trying to save the day. So the Sean Harris character is the bad guy, and they're trying to save the day. Jeremy Renner's character has since been promoted, and that's kind of the interesting twist on there. So he's more with the company, if you will, and kind of straddling his loyalty towards Cruise and the operatives and what the government is trying to do, which I thought was a really nice twist.
Yeah, you know, I actually enjoy this villain. He is kind of ominous, and I do enjoy that. There's just enough given about him and not enough given about him that I do enjoy that aspect of it. You know, in our defense, it's kind of like when you watch all the James Bond movies, then someone goes, "What's the plot?" And you're like, "Oh no, I kind of get them all a little mixed up," and that's not a bad
I
thing
know.
necessarily. It's just that they kind of have the same, you know, they like I said, we have the same kind of template. It's not like something like Star Wars where there's a whole continuation. They're all kind of episodic. Yeah, what I do love, yeah, Rebecca Ferguson comes in. She can fight just as well. She runs, but she takes her heels off, and she can ride a motorcycle, and she's just the equal to Tom Cruise, which is pretty impressive because, you know, when you look at some other ones like a Vin Diesel or The Rock, where they have it in their contract, they can never lose a fight. They would never have somebody in there as their equal, and she is totally his equal. But she's also kind of there's some doubt about where her alliances are in this movie, but you can't help but you know, really enjoy her character, and she has great chemistry again with Tom Cruise, which is, you know, which is pretty darn essential. Alec Baldwin does a great job of talking fast and giving the exposition and making it sound very serious, and I've always enjoyed him. Plenty of double crosses in this one. Here we have the underwater server, which is you know, Tom Cruise held his breath longer than anyone else in history, and of course when Benji, you know, explains what they have to do, he's like, "Oh, it's impossible. It's not impossible. He can do it." And Tom Cruise is like, "What?" And Ethan's like, "I got to hold my breath for how long?" And he's like, "No, you can do it. That's not a problem." That one stresses me out because it's underwater. We have a fantastic motorcycle chase,
Yeah,
actually.
one of the
And then
great ones.
this is the one where he starts off by hanging on the side of the airplane, which is a fantastic. I mean, that's the
That's the
beginning of the movie.
beginning.
That's like
Yeah,
the big
yeah.
ending. So I absolutely love that. And so this one, again, another one where they just are constant, like, this is what we're going to do. And then it's like, something's not working. And, we got to pivot and we got to go this way. And so, you know, when we watch these, we watch them all of them in a row, a little exhausting in a good way, because it's just like, oh my gosh, we got to do this. And now we got to do this. And it's like, don't the plans ever work out? Nope. Something else
No, and all
happens.
that
And
running.
I do
We're just
enjoy that.
sitting there on our butts watching Cruise run, and I'm
Yeah.
exhausted.
And so that's sometimes what always bothered me about especially with the last Bonds, when they get kind of campy or whatever, and it's just like, you know, the ex machina comes in, you know, the subway train comes just the right time to save, because he had it all planned, and it's like, you know, life doesn't work that way. And so I do enjoy this where they have to pivot a lot.
Yeah, and Rebecca Ferguson, to get back to her, great casting. I actually would argue that she has better chemistry with Cruise than Michelle Monaghan in a way, and I certainly think her character is stronger because she's not just the wife sitting on the sideline. She's also a spy. She's a spy for the British government, and so she is she's an equal, like you said, with him, and I liked that dynamic. And I just think they have great. She's a great actress, and they have great chemistry, and so she's a great addition to the team. We'll talk about her character later, but I think that was one of the strongest aspects of this one. Let's see. Do I have the next one too? I do. So now we move on to Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Is that where we are? We're on Dead Reckoning? No, Fallout. Fallout. Yeah, sorry. We're on Mission Impossible Fallout 2018. So again, Christopher McQuarrie brings back a lot of the same people, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson. Sean Harris is still the bad guy, interestingly, although there's kind of a second bad person in this, which is Vanessa Kirby's character. And then this is Angela Bassett's in this one. And then the big addition in this one was Henry Cavill, also known to some of you as Superman, also known to others of you as a guy who's in a ton of British stuff. Henry Cavill's brought in. He's kind of the government's guy to bring in to kind of watch Ethan to make sure he doesn't get into too many hijinks and follows the rules. So I liked that about this one, that there's this other guy who's a really big guy. Like Henry Cavill's very physically imposing next to Tom Cruise. And so they want him, so there's a lot of action again with this one with Rebecca Ferguson on the team. And they think there's the big sequence in this one that's really famous is the bathroom fight scene with Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise, which is absolutely phenomenal. That's probably one of the most impressive set pieces here.
Fantastic. Yeah. This one is one of my favorites. I think this one is my second favorite. This is absolutely fantastic. I think I gave this one 4 stars. I might have been in my top 10, I think. But that bathroom fight scene, which I've seen broken down many times on Stepman React, is a lot of fun. And then there's the chase when they're kidnapping the villain, which is really good. There's a lot of funny scenes, especially with him running, with the direction he's going. This is the famous one where he breaks his ankle, and it stays in the movie where he hops along. And then there's a helicopter chase, which does not happen in many movies ever. So that was really, really cool and very fun and a lot of very inventive. I do enjoy the repeat villain. I do enjoy we have the same cast there, so we have some nice continuity there. There is a great double cross that is absolutely fantastic. And then again, they bring the Michelle Monaghan character back in to kind of complete her character's arc, which is nice to see. Never seen it in the Bond movie. And of course, then the villain, of course, uses that against Ethan. And of course, it all comes together at the very end and does a really good job with the set pieces. And of course, there's a countdown, which fine, whatever. Some great fight scenes in this one. I mean, there's some great choreography in this one. And this one's just, again, another roller coaster ride from the beginning to the end. It's so much fun.
Yeah, definitely a great one. And let's see, I think you have the next one.
I have the Dead Reckoning. So this one is, okay, here's where we're starting to slide, people. And this one I gave we saw it together and I probably gave it 3 stars. So I like this one. And this one is, the villain is a computer program. So we're looking into 70s television show like The Bionic Man or The Bionic Woman plot. I don't know how this got so weak, and I can understand going against AI that's writing screenplays for movies or something like that, but this is where a computer is going to be taking over everything, and so they've got to put a stop to that, which I'm like, again, you tell Tom Cruise to stop something, I'm excited, but I'm like, ooh, really? A computer program that's gonna, have we not seen this? I like when
even though that makes me as realistic to where we are, it's not very exciting visually to go after a thumb drive, which is what he's going after.
Then they go after the villain that they kind of put the face of the villain as Gabriel, and he's just meh. That doesn't have any kind of zeal, doesn't have any kind of excitement in terms of a villain. So unfortunately, that's too bad. There's a key stealing scene that I really enjoy. We do bring in Haley Atwell, who's a fine actress. She played an Agent Carter, but kind of as kind of another love interest, which I was not happy about because I love Rebecca Ferguson. And then, I cannot pronounce Palm's last name, but she was also in the Guardians of the Galaxy. She's another heavy for the villain who does a great job, especially in some choreographed fight scenes there. But it just, and then they talk a lot about the motorcycle jump being the big stunt in this one, which was cool, but it's the train scene at the end where the train is slowly going off into the canyon,
Yeah, the
and
train is
they're
good.
they're fighting and climbing to go from cart to cart. That is absolutely fantastic, and that really kind of gives you a positive feeling towards the end because it's just kind of meh compared to the last four. Because the last fours were, and my turn again, I like the last four were fantastic, and this one was like, oh, we just hit a bit of a bump in the road, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. We enjoyed it when we saw it in the theater. I think we saw this one in the theater. Well, we saw a lot of them together, but
Mhm.
obviously not '96 because I didn't know you then. But I agree. It feels like one of the things that has started to happen with the McQuarrie films is it becomes about what crazy thing is Tom Cruise going to do, which it was not about that in the beginning of the movie. It was more about that team dynamic, and the team starts to erode in this part of the movie and become more about the big stunts. And I missed the team dynamic quite a bit. And like you said, I miss Rebecca Ferguson. Haley Atwell's fine, but she's no replace for Rebecca Ferguson. And I don't think she has the chemistry or the acting chops that Rebecca Ferguson has. So,
Well, and
yeah,
there's a death in this one, and there's a death in the next one that kind of becomes like a Rocky motivation, and it's kind of just. I mean, I hate to say it, it's just poor writing. That's what it is. That's disappointing because they're so smart. These movies are so incredibly smart that it was just like, oh, really? That's my motivation? You're gonna knock somebody off?
yeah,
Really?
I almost was like
Mm.
McQuarrie started writing all these movies himself, and I feel like this is an example of he's a good technician. He can make a fine action movie. Maybe he needs to bring in, hey, maybe they need to bring Steve Zalian back to give some more
Yeah.
interest to the plot. Give us some good spy. It's a spy movie. Give us some spy stuff, and not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
stuff blowing up. So, yeah, which leads
Yeah.
us to our last one.
No, I think you're introducing it, aren't you? Am I introducing it? Please don't tell me I'm introducing this one. Am I?
You are,
Oh
yeah.
God. Oh no. Oh, I didn't even write down the IMF continues its pursuit of entity. That's what I wrote because that's what it's about.
The
This one
entity is the
is
bad guy, yeah. Which isn't a
which
guy,
was
is it?
like what was it like 4 hours long or something? The first hour of this movie is recapping the previous ones. So for me, it was an insult because I've seen these movies multiple times. I've watched the recaps, which I found out Angela doesn't watch recaps of movies on YouTube, and so I was very familiar. So I was like, "Here, remember this? Remember this? Hey, remember this?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I'm a fan. I'm here. You guys have got me locked in. This is the eighth movie or whatever. I'm here. So the first hour is just ridiculous. It's a rehash. And I remember specifically looking, going, I just wasted an hour. Let's get to the movie. And so it just is
Yeah.
so insulting.
It's an hour
There's a great
recaps and then a 2 hour movie, which is what it should have been.
yeah, and then by that time, it goes back and says, "Oh, remember this character? This, and now they were at this one," and it kind of doesn't try to wrap everything up, and it tries way too hard. It felt like it was just out of ideas, and maybe another year, but they filmed the last two back to back, and it really shows that they scrambled on the last one, and it was too bad because if this is the last one, it kind of goes out on a whimper. I can't recommend the last one because it just made me so mad because I felt insulted as a fan of the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, 3 hours and you felt it. I mean, I was sitting there going, okay, and then like showing us the scenes in Langley again. Even me, who has not seen them all as much as you, I was like, yeah, I saw that. Thank you. I don't need to watch a movie about the movies that have already come before. I mean, it's probably great
Yeah.
for very casual fans who
Yeah.
haven't seen any of the movies before, but it's just what but even then, like I don't think a movie should be about recapping itself. And so, and then the sequences that do happen, there's one on a plane, but he's done that before. And again, like the cast starts to fall away. It's again becomes mostly Tom Cruise in this one. He's alone a lot of the movie, down at underwater or on the ice, or the team is out
Yeah.
separately trying to help him, but they're not working together. And I missed that. So it's too bad that it went out with a whimper. But I think Bryan and I would both agree. Well, Bryan would say, watch 3 through 6 or 3 through 7, and I would say, similar, at least for the Philip Seymour Hoffman. So there you go. There's our recap. We're out of time. Thank you very much. Have a great day and great movies and great Mission Impossible viewing. Bye bye.
All right, you did it.
We did it. See, you
I
were
feel like
such
I
a
can go into the
doubter.
next
I
room
was.
and see you.
I am
You
deeply
did.
Yeah,
humbled.
that's.
I am humbled by your performance.
You said we couldn't
I
do
was
it, and we
watching the
did it.
timer.
I didn't say
I
you
was watching the
couldn't do
timer.
it.
I was watching it.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
paying
No, I
attention.
think it was good. I'm glad we didn't stretch it out because some of them, I'm like, even though I just watched them, I'm like, how much can I talk about this, really? I mean, so
Yeah.
like the first two, I think the one to me that was the biggest surprise going back is I think I had really the series had gone on, I kept in my head, I thought, oh, the first one wasn't very good. And when I went back and watched the first one, I was more impressed with it. That was the one that raised in
Yeah.
my estimation. I think De Palma didn't get enough credit for like doing a lot of things right that set the series in a correct direction. And also, he had some of the more, McQuarrie's fine, but he's a meat and potatoes director. He's not going to
Yeah.
innovatively do anything stylistically. And De Palma put some of his own flourishes on that in a good way that I liked. So it would have been a
Well,
totally different
I
series if they'd continued doing what they were doing, like having a different director every movie. There's good and bad to that,
yeah.
right? It can be wildly different, like John Woo to Brad Bird. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I think
No, I think if you watch, I don't know when last time you watched The Impossibles, because I rewatched those recently, had them in the background. You can totally, I mean, you watched it sounds so weird, but his, fuck, I keep forgetting the names. Wasn't Rogue Nation? Rogue Nation, yeah. You watch The Impossibles and go right into Rogue Nation, like, yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, it's still his visual style, it's still his comedy, it's still all the fun gadgets, it's still
are you
he does
talking
a
about The
really, really good
Incredibles?
job. Yeah. Did I say that right? The
You said
animated movie, right?
Impossibles.
Isn't that the one?
You said The
Oh, whatever.
Impossibles. It's The
Yeah,
Incredibles. Yeah. Okay.
sure. Whatever, The Incredibles. Yeah, if you watch those back to back and then watch his Mission Impossible movie, you can kind of see that. Yeah, he has a distinctive style and pattern and pace, and it does a
What's he
really,
doing
really
these
good job.
days? Do you know if he's doing action, if he's going to ever do live action again? It's just weird that I think he went back to animation after that, which is fine. I just
I think he
surprised.
did. Might still be at Pixar. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so if you're looking at what is there, eight of them, and four are bangers in my opinion. I absolutely love. And then the first one I thought was good. The second one, and then the second to last one was good. So I mean, it's still a betting bat. It's a really good batting average. And he's tried with other IPs, with the Jack Reacher, which that I really
And that
tried
was
to like those
McQuarrie, and that was
movies.
terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah. And I wish they would have. What's going to kill this movie is that this last one was $400 million. They're not going to get that money back. There's no way in hell. It's not going to make Maverick money. And I make another Top Gun movie or something or other. But that's what's going to kill the movie is that it kind of whimpered out and it's not going to make the money that it did before. So that's too bad. They really should have kept the budget down. And I think this is also Tom is a little more in control and wanting to do this and doing this. And I've been doing a lot of reading on Francis Ford Coppola. I've been doing a lot of reading on Bruce Springsteen. And when they've achieved this a double, they always think they're going to be able to keep doing this. And so, yeah, a movie could be $400 million. The last one made $1 billion. And I'm like, what? Not every movie makes $1 billion. So
No,
that's too
not
bad.
even close anymore. And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and also, I hate to say it, but if you want to make that much money, you should not have your movie be 3.5 hours. It is hard to make back your money when your movie is that long because people are sitting in the
Michael
theater
Bay would say
for.
differently. Michael
He
Bay would
did
say
his were
differently though.
2.5 hours, so not 3.5. I mean,
Hours,
he's
yeah.
getting to Irishman length here, and I hate to say it, McQuarrie, you're no Scorsese, so like you gotta, if you're gonna make a 3.5 hour quote unquote action movie, you gotta give us more substance than an hour of recaps and a lot of exposition. Oh my God, so much talking that first hour. I thought, what am I watching? And
Yeah,
mostly
that.
just recapping, like, well, when you were in Langley, remember that? And it was all like, and somehow they were trying to convince us. This is what kind of
No,
pissed off
wait,
my.
Angela. It wasn't so much here. I remember what happened in Langley. It was like, here's that guy. Remember the guy? And I'm like, oh my God, really? Oh,
Yeah, and they
because of what
actually
you
brought
did,
him
I
back.
like
Yeah.
better. And I was like, who gives a fuck about that guy?
Well, the other thing was they actually tried to tie in everything that had happened in all the previous movies
Everything.
into the entity. And I was thinking, okay, the series started in '96. AI wasn't even a thing. What are you talking about? Like, all of this is all
Yeah.
part of the entity's plan. And I was like,
Hmm.
I don't think so. You should go back and rewatch
Well,
your own movies because that's not actually
Yeah.
what happened. So
And again, it's like, again, it's just like, bum, bum, bum. Like, as opposed to the ones I prefer was like, hey, here's your wife. I'm going to kill her, and I'm going to kill her in front of you, and you're going to watch her, or you're going to watch her die, or whatever it is. Then I'm going to kill you in front of her. That to me is like, oh shit, that's more of a motivation than, oh look, this entity's going to take over the whole world. Like AI is taking over the world anyway. But so I prefer when it was more on the personal level, and then the other ones are about, okay, well, we had what was the nuclear core, but he saved Ving Rhames instead. It was like, yeah, because that was more important at the moment. He'll figure the other part out. That was the more human motivation, as opposed to this one was like, it's just who gives a shit. And then Gabriel was pretty. I think he's a soap opera actor. I don't know, but he didn't do zero for me. He wasn't menacing. He was pretty, and I was like, I have a pretty villain. Doesn't really do much for me, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. And Angela Bassett's the best thing in the last movie, and she's not given enough to do, but she's the best thing in it,
Get to
I
be
think.
president somehow.
Yeah, she was the CIA director previously, and now she's the.
Excuse me, George W. Bush did it, so I step back from that statement. You can actually do it from the CIA. Wasn't he the CIA head chief? I think he was. George Bush?
George H.W.
W.
Bush.
HW. Oh, I thought you said W. No, sorry, HW.
I did. I meant
Yes,
the other
no,
one.
well, then he went to vice president and then to president, but yes. Yeah, you can.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about HW, and I was like, he was not
Okay,
CIA
that's the wrong
director.
one.
Yeah,
I
no.
get things flipped around.
No, it's fine. They're similar names. Actually, the exact same name.
I wanted more gadgets. We didn't use gadgets in the last two either. It was like, oh,
No,
more
he
gadgets.
just kind of dropped that. It was almost like they did one mask thing in the first of the two. They did the one where he goes into the office with the smoke bomb. That was it.
That was a good scene. That's a good scene. I liked that one.
Yeah, that was the only.
I forgot about it.
Yeah. See, I remembered that one because I remember thinking, "Oh, that's good," because it was towards the beginning, and then you're like, and then it kind of went, "Oh, now we're just gonna talk." I don't know why
So
people.
here's the conundrum. The conundrum is that you can't. It's really, really hard to end on the top. If it ended at Fallout, which I thought was fantastic, I've been like, wow, can you make another one? And of course then they do, and you're like, oh, can you not make another one, please? So it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you continue on, people want you to continue if it's the last one's great. But if the last one, but then you falls off, then you're like, oh, why did you do that? You ruined it. So you kind of, you're in a tight spot there. That's unfortunate because I really do love this series. I think it's really good, and I don't know
could have
what Tom
killed him.
Cruise will do next.
They could have killed Ethan, huh?
Yeah, that works so well for Bond, but they can make that fake. I don't know. I just kind of not worry, but I mean, I wonder what the next chapter of his career is, because he is a fine actor. He's always believable, but the action set pieces are really what has propelled him in the last few movies.
But he's getting older, and he needs to go back to trying to do acting again.
Yeah, so you look at like Paul Newman or Nicholson or those guys. He's not that level, but you know what I mean. When you get to a certain age, what are you going to do next? So that'll be interesting to see what he does next. I've
heard he's going to work with real directors again, auteurs. That's the word on the street. So that'd be exciting.
Yeah, he's made his money. So here was the thing I learned by reading the Spielberg book, was that Spielberg would always fight for residuals and points and stuff. And what was the movie they made together? Minority Report, which I loved, only made 150 million domestic, and I forget what it did worldwide. But they both made like $50 million off of it. And then War of the Worlds, they made even like 70 apiece. They were both like, you want to work with us? We're taking like 50% of the fucking gross. And so I thought that was really interesting. They both so he's made his ton of money. Scientology, of course, has taken a big chunk of it, whatever, and he has his slaves. So it doesn't like he, is hurting for money. He can just, why not, hire a Bud Buttaker and make B movie noir or westerns. I was watching a Randolph Scott one this morning with and Andre de Toth, who directed it, and thoroughly enjoyed those little tiny movies. I know he'll never will, but it'll be fun.
But maybe he'll take some more risks because he doesn't have to be the Tom Cruise and everything. Yeah. Let's hope. Some more Magnolia type movies. Let's hope. That could happen.
He's done it before, but
yeah.
Maybe he can find. Hopefully, he finds a young upcoming director or a fantastic director. I mean, he resurrected De Palma for a while. He helped out Scorsese with The Color of Money, though I don't think he was attached to it first, but he sure as shit didn't hurt. So that's always interesting to see that. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what he does. Now, if we had another segment, if we did this in 2 months, that's what I would have wanted to talk about is his career and what perhaps he would do next. I would hate to see him Al Pacino it, or even Robert De Niro. Christ. Oh, it's so depressing. I was bitching about after the movie Days of Heaven, I was bitching about Adam Sandler. And my friends were like, yeah, but look at all the shitty movies Al Pacino's making now, and Robert De Niro. Can you defend those? And I said, yeah, but when they were at the height of their power, what were they making? When De Niro could swing his dick anyway, he was like Raging Bull, and he pushed Martin Scorsese, I want to make Raging Bull. And then it was King of Comedy. He was like, yeah, I'll make that. That was a box office turd. And so I liked seeing that, whereas Adam Sandler at the height of his power is like, oh, I'm going to make money and make Grown Ups 3 or whatever. So fuck that guy. So it'll be interesting to see what Tom Cruise can do right now, because he still might have a blank check from Paramount because of Top Gun 2, but I don't know.
Yeah,
He fought
we'll
Nazis
see.
before in a movie. Do it again.
We got plenty of them to fight, that's for sure.